Hello friends, welcome to Coding Techniques again. Today I'm going to teach you how to work with the CRUD operations in Firebase. Most of you have given me in the comments that you need a video on this. So here I am with this particular video. So we are going to learn the create, read, update and delete operations using Firebase Firestore. So that is what we are going to cater up in this particular video. So let's get started. If you haven't checked my courses yet, do check it out. Links are there in the description. And there is a template too which I have launched. So do check that out. Link of that is also there in the description. Go and check it right now. If you like it, you can get that pretty soon. Offers are available for a limited time period. So as you can see here, I have created a new project and I have named the title as Notes App. So basically it's going to be a simple notes application in which we will have a title and a description which will be showing up here. Then we are going to see how we can create that. We are going to create a model for that and we will do all the stuff within the ion list. So let's have it in this particular one. So ion list will be there. Within the list, we are going to loop the ion item, but I'm going to use ion item sliding here because we need the edit and delete button also. That is why I'm going to use it, okay, in this particular manner. Now within this ion item sliding, I'm going to have few options. So these are my options. The first one will be the edit one. Let me have it in capital letter. And the other one is for the delete one, okay. So these two I'm going to have. Let me give it color for the edit one to be, let's say, secondary color. We are going to work with that later on, what will be the styling of it. So this will be the stuff which I'm just going to show. If you want, you can work with the icon also, but I think it's gonna be fine, just this particular stuff. Now I'm going to work with the ion item within that. Let me just do it in this particular manner so that you can see the whole screen. Now within the ion item, I'm going to have an ion label at first where I'll have, let's say, the title. Okay, I've just named it as title only. And then I will have a p tag in which I'll have an ion text where I'll have the description. Okay, that's how it's going to be. You can see this is how it's going to be. All right. So we will have a long text in the description. We can have that. So I'm just going to wrap it up for the time being. So ion text wrap, so that if it is a long text, still it will show up properly. That's why. So the design is for the time being ready. We can play with that later on. But now I need to loop it up, but directly looping it up is of no use. That is why what am I going to do? I'm going to have a button here. So ion buttons slot to be end, and within that I'm going to have an ion button within which I will have an ion icon whose name is going to be add. Simple. Alright, so basic simple design I have created so far. If you click on this add button, it's going to open up a model which I'm just going to have it here after the ion list. Now if you just scroll it, you will see edit and delete button showing up here. That's what we need, right? So let's have an ion model here. Now for ion model, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the Ionic framework documentation into the components one and search for ion model here. So this is the one that will show up. And here, this is how the model is going to show. Let me just show you the demo at first if you are not sure. This is how it's going to be. And we are going to use this particular code here. So let's simply copy everything. Okay. And I'm going to paste it here at first. Don't worry, we are going to just align everything and change everything as per our requirement. For the time being, let's have it in this particular manner. Don't worry about the error. Now this trigger open model, it will only open up if you have an ID somewhere. So on click of this particular button, I need that. That is why I'm going to give the ID, and within that the value will be open model. That's the same name that we have here in the trigger one. That is how this is going to get triggered on the click of that particular button. Now on will dismiss. Whenever the model is going to dismiss, if you want to do something, you can definitely work with that. So I think we should definitely work with that. And I'm going to go to the TypeScript file and work with this particular stuff here. On will dismiss. For the timing, let's have that. All right. There will be an event and this is how the function will be. Now let's check it out. What should we give here? So I'll go to the TypeScript here and this will be of type event. All right, that's gonna be fine. Let's have that here. Now this particular event type, it's already defined, so we don't need to do anything here. All right, no other imports needs to be provided, so we are good to go. And if you want the value of it, definitely you can get it in this particular manner here. Let me just paste it so that it will be pretty clear what exactly we are looking for. Okay, now for this particular one, let me copy it from here. That's gonna be better, and paste it directly. Fine. Once that is done, we will be using the common module for ngIf, ng4 if you are working for that. Definitely we are going to use that. So it is a standalone project, that is why we need to do here. Otherwise in ng modules one, you don't need to do anything. It will be there in the modules file. You can simply check that out. And also we need the forms module, which will also be there in the ng modules one. Alright. So these two things I have imported for this standalone one. Now I'll go to the HTML, and we have some buttons here which I actually don't need. In the start one, I need only one button. That will be a back button. Alright. So I won't have any text. Instead, I will simply have an icon here. So an icon whose name will be, what's the name? I have to search for it. Don't worry. Let's check it out here. An icons. This is the one. .com. And look for arrow. We'll get something here. So this is what we need mostly. So the name of it is arrow back outline. Let's have that. Arrow back outline. Okay, once that is done, we need to work with this particular functionality, and I don't need this particular one. So let me just remove this particular stuff. And what about this? Alright, let's keep that. And this cancel one will dismiss the model. That's what I need to do. So how it is done in this particular one, I am just showing you in order to make you understand what exactly it's being done here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it and simply paste it here. You can simply go for dismiss also. You don't need to pass anything. If you don't pass anything, still it's going to work fine. Now in order to work with this particular stuff, we also need to have a view child. Okay, let me copy it and I'm going to paste it here. In this particular manner, we will have an instance of that particular and model here, means we can directly work with that particular stuff. Alright, let me give a not symbol here because this won't be undefined. Alright, that is why, as we have not initialized any value here. That's why. Okay, so everything is imported properly and good to go. Now if I still remove it, there won't be any issue. Okay, I can send it pretty easily. If you want this to be passed, definitely you can, because it can take two arguments. One is the data and other is role. Both have a question mark. That means it is not mandatory to be passed. Alright, so once that is done, let's move ahead. What is the next error that I have? Okay, I need to pass here. Let me call model of type any, where I'm going to have the data. Okay, and I'm just defining it to be an empty object. So what am I going to do here is, for this particular name, I'm going to use model dot title. Okay, and enter title. Let me have that. In the placeholder, what am I going to do? Let me pass. Okay, I think I have another option here. Why to do it in this particular manner when we can do it in one go? So an input already have something called label, in which I can pass title. Then I also have label placement here, in which I can position it properly as per our requirements. So let's say tagged as earlier. Let me break it down. Type is text, placeholder if you want to give. That's how it's going to be. Okay, now if you want to check it up, if I just click on this particular button, let's see what happens. You can see title, your name is showing up. That's how you can have this particular stuff. So placeholder, I'm just going to have enter your title or enter the title. Okay, if I click on it again, you will see this is how it is coming up, and it's fine. Okay, for the title one here, instead of welcome, I'm just going to have add a note. All right, and it is going to change here. So that's how you can work with it. And if you click on the back button, it's going to get back to the home page. So till now, everything is good to go. We just need to finish up our designing for the model one. So I'm just going to copy this item here and going to paste it again in this way, because I need the title and the description here. So for the description, instead of an input, I'm going to use text area, where the title will be description. Okay, or you can give any other title if you want to, like the main body or something. Everything will remain same except this particular one. Enter the description, and this will be description. Once that is done, let me click on it again, and you can see two things are coming up. You can have some margin at the top if you want to, like by passing a class iron margin. Let's say vertically we'll have some margin here. Let's check it out. So this is how it is showing up. That's great. In fact, I just need to have a button here to save it. You can have it here also, or you can simply pass it here also. Whichever you feel, it's fine. Let me have a button here, because always I pass a button here at the bottom part. So let's change it this time. Let me copy this iron buttons here and paste it once again. Slot will be end. I'll have a button in which either you can have a icon of a check mark or a save text. So let me have the check mark one. Let's check it out. Check mark CK. I think this one will be fine. So let's copy it and I'm going to replace this particular one. Okay, which will show up, and in fact along with that also you can simply have a text called save, but you need to pass slot to be start here. Okay, that's how you can have it. We'll just check it in a moment. Let me click on it and you can see this is showing up. So if you want it at the end, simply pass end and it's going to show up at the end part in this particular way. So completely up to you. If you just don't want this text, remove it and try it once again. I think this will be fine. So I'll go with this particular stuff. This is looking cleaner to me. If you want the text one, definitely you can have that. And I'll name it a save function, which I'll work with in the TypeScript one called save function. Since we are working in the same page, so there won't be any problem here. But I'll still have a service here. So Ionic G service. Within the services folder that will be created automatically, I'm going to have a note service, which will create a folder at first, note, and then within that the note service. That is how I'm going to have it. That will be aligned properly. This is the way. So we have two files that will be coming up in note folder. Alright. So whenever you create a new note, you can simply work with that using the observable one. And in fact, the signals one also can be used here if you are aware of it. Now in this particular service one, I'm going to use observables, which will be in this particular manner. I'm going to create a private variable, which will be an observable that's gonna take the value of this particular type, in which we'll have the title and description only, which will be of type string, and it's going to have an array and initialize it to a value of an empty array. Okay, so that's what it's going to take. Then this is like a getter for this particular notes. I've named it as notes only, and it will return an observable of this particular behavior subject. Fine. I've shown you many times this particular stuff. Now after doing that, what am I going to do here is we need to add note. This is one of the function which we need to prepare. Then get all notes or get notes function. After that, update a particular note, and finally we will delete note. Okay, so this four we are going to work with. So in add node, we need the data here. That's gotta be of type, well, this particular type only. If you want, you can create an interface for this. Let me just do that here before the injectables. I think we can definitely do that. Export interface, and I'm going to name it as note, within which I'll simply paste it in this way. All right. So that's gonna be my interface, and I will have the same here, note one. Okay, that's it. Now here also I can simply pass note. That's gonna be the type of it, and I'm going to do everything within async await try catch block. Async await we are going to use it later on when we call the data, and try catch will be done in this particular manner, in which the catch block, I'm just going to throw the error, and we are going to do the same approach everywhere. In the gate nodes also we are going to do in the same way, async. All right, and in the update one, what else do we need here? We need the ID, isn't it? ID along with the data, which will be of type note, and this will be of type string. Okay, here also what I can do is, along with this particular ones, I can have an ID also, which will be optional one, but let's not pass that for the time being. Let's work ahead with this particular stuff only. Similarly, I'm going to copy it once again and paste it for the delete one also. We'll have async here, and I will only have an ID to be passed in this particular one. Fine. So this is the basic stuff which I have prepared so far. Now let's go back to our TS file, and when you click on the save button, what happens exactly? Now within this save function, we need to look for the form validation, and for doing so in the HTML, we haven't passed this particular stuff. Where is it? The iron content items one within a form. So let's do that. I'm going to wrap everything within this particular form here. Let me have save function. All right, don't worry, I'm going to work with that. Let's fix everything up at first in the design one in this particular manner. All right, now getting rid of the error, we have to do what? We have to pass form here, which will be of type NZ form. That's gonna be imported from @angular/forms. Fine. Now the error will go away. What error do we have now? Let's check it out. Alright, there is a save. Well, if you pass this F here, which is an identifier for this particular form here, then the error will go away and you don't need to call this ng submit here, okay, because this will work as expected. So I think now we are good to go to check the value of it. If you click on the save button, so what exactly I need to do here is, at first I'm going to check if not of form.valid. That means that if it is invalid, then I'm simply going to return. I'm not going to throw anything. You can have an alert also or a toast message if you want to. Alright. And after that, you can simply move ahead and work with the other stuff if it is valid. So I'm just going to log the value of form.value. Okay, let's check it out. What is the value that will be coming up? Now I'll just click on it and we'll enter some value. Let's say login credentials, anything. I'm just typing. Let's say in the description pwt -- 1 2 3 4, anything. I will simply pass. Open this particular one to check the logs where I have certain errors. Okay, why this is coming up? Okay, I haven't set the name attribute. That's a mistake which I have made. So I need to set the name attribute to be title here. Always make sure that you have the same stuff in both the places so that there won't be any confusion. You can have a different one also, but this is a safe way of working. Okay, now description is passed here. Now everything will be fine. If I just open it once again, you will see no errors here. Let's go here and try to fix it or fill this up, not fix it. Let's say login 1 2 3 4 5 6. Hit this button and you are getting the title and description. Now let's say if you are not passing anything here, we haven't passed the required field yet, but still let's check it out. So if I click on it again, still it is coming up. What if I pass a required field somewhere? Let's see. This is a required one. Okay, here also it's going to be a required one. Fine. This time, if I just click on it and don't type anything here, if I just click on it, you can see nothing is happening here. If I even type something here, click on it, still nothing will happen until unless I pass a description. Then only it's going to work. So our form validation is working nicely. It's time to add it up. So in order to add this particular stuff, what am I going to do? I'm just going to call up my service. So for doing that, I have to inject it. Private note from node service. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Once that is done, this node dot add note function will be called. Within that, I need to pass form dot value. All right. That's what I'm going to do. Now this particular function is going to return a promise here, right? That is why I'm just going to pass await, and all of it can be done within a try catch block. That would be better. So try catch block. Okay. Within the try block, I'm just going to pass everything that I just had it earlier. Now I'm going to pass async, error is gone. And in the catch block for the timing, I'm just going to log the error. You can have an alert button also, alert box also if you want. All right. So the save function is ready. Along with that, what exactly I need to do is I need to work with the ng on init and on its destroy. So implements on init along with that on destroy, both of them will be imported here, right? Once the importing is done, what I'll do after the constructor, I'm going to go for ng on init, and at the very end, I'm going to have a function called ng on destroy. That is how I love to keep it. Now I will have another variable here called node sub. That's gonna be subscription. All right, and I'm going to import it from RxJS. This is how it is imported. So I need to give a not symbol because this won't be empty. Now in the ng on it, what I'm going to do, this dot node sub will be equals to this dot node. That's gonna be the service one dot. I'm going to use the getter here for the nodes one dot subscribe. We'll look for the changes in this particular one, and within this subscription I will have at first the next one, in which we'll have the nodes here and which will provide us the value of nodes. That's gonna be this dot nodes will be equals to nodes, whatever it is. All right, I will have a nodes variable here which will be of type node, and it's going to be an array here which will be initialized to an empty array. Fine. After that, I also can have an error, right? So
we are going to tackle that up in this particular way by just logging the value of it for the time being. That's it. So this is ready now, the subscription part, but we need to unsubscribe it at the very end. So I'm just going to look for node sub. If it exists, then this dot node sub will be unsubscribed here, unsubscribed in this particular way. Fine. So everything is tackled out properly. Now we simply need to work with the service one for the add functionality here. Now in order to add this data, what am I going to do here is, let's get the current nodes. So variable current nodes, that's gonna be equals to this dot underscore nodes dot value. So I'm just going to get the observable value here directly within this particular one. In fact, I can have a constant also, and I'm just going to concatenate this particular value with this particular one that I'm getting from the nodes one. Once I do that up, I'll get the latest data. All right, so how am I going to achieve that? Well, in order to do that, what am I going to do? Let nodes equal to, that's gonna be of type nodes array, initialized to an empty array, or in fact I can simply pass, that's not going to be nodes, it will be node. I'm just going to pass the data here. So object dot data, a copy of this particular data. I have made it here. There won't be any ID so far. Now after doing that, nodes will be equals to nodes dot concate function I'm going to use. You can push it also if you want to. I'm just going to pass current nodes. That's going to be my actual nodes value, which I'm just going to pass this dot underscore nodes dot in the next function. All right. And this value will be passed in the observable directly. That is what I'm going to work with. And finally, you can simply return this particular value also, the nodes one, if you want to. Okay, that is a proper way of working with this particular one. So now if you add anything in this particular one, it will be showing up in this way. All right, it's going to get updated, and you can show it in the HTML also by just making few changes here. Let me just show you. I'm just going to run ng4 to the item sliding here. Let item of nodes, or any name you want. Then after doing that, this will be item dot question mark dot title and item question mark dot description. Fine, that's gonna be the stuff. Let's try it now whether it works or not. But initially I need to call one more function here. If we have some nodes already, then we can call the get nodes function also, which I haven't created yet properly. That means the functionality is not there. So let's work with it for the time being, whether it works or not. So let's pass some value here. Let's say login 123. And if I click on it, well, I've clicked twice. Actually, it is saving, but I need to exit or dismiss the model also. And in order to do that, let me go to the TypeScript, and after saving it, once this is done, I'll call this .model.dismiss function. All right, that is what I'm just going to do. Here also I can remove this particular stuff. That's gonna be fine. Or let's keep it. Let me keep it in this particular way only. Let's try it once again. Let's say login 123. Let's try it. And there you go. You can see this is showing up. You can have some margin towards here. Let's go for it. For the p tag, I'll have some margin at the top. So let's work here. Let me work within the ion label where I have the p tag. Margin top of 5 pixel will be fine. Okay, we are going to try that later on. Let's first finish up everything. So this is working, and we need some functionality here also for the edit one. So edit function, on click of it, right, in this particular way. And similarly, I'll have a delete button also, or delete functionality will be passed in this particular way, actually in this particular way, right? So now this is ready. Delete node, edit node. That's what the name I'm going to pass. In the TypeScript one also, I'm just going to do the same stuff. Delete node and edit node. All right. Now in both the cases, what I need exactly is the data. So let me pass item here, also the item. Okay, in the TypeScript, I'll get the node of type node. Similarly, in this case also node of type node. Okay, done. For the gate one, let me just call it here. Then I'll work with the functionality one. Await this dot gate, this dot nodes, node dot gate nodes. That's gonna be the function that I'm going to call here. Well, you can directly call, you don't need async await here. That's gonna be fine. So I'm just calling it at the very top. That's it. Now, what am I going to do? Let's go to the service and work with this particular functionality also. Whatever value I'll be getting it from the database, I'm just going to throw it here. For the time being, it's gonna be empty. It's not going to return anything. So let's keep it in the same manner. Or you can simply pass an empty one if you want to. That's gonna be fine. All right. Later on, we are going to just throw in the next function also. Then the subscription will work properly. Now, let's work with the edit one. And in order to work with the edit one, what I need to do is I need to work with this particular model here. So whenever the model will dismiss, I need to initialize the model to have this value again. Why I'm doing so? Because whenever I'm going to click on the edit one, at that point of time, I will update this dot model value to be node dot title. That's gonna be within this title one in this way. And I am also going to pass the description, or instead of doing this, let me just pass it directly in this way. Okay, that's gonna be better. So I'm just using the spread operator to make a copy of this particular node and pass it in the model one. That's what I'm going to do. So after doing so, I'm just going to open up the model here. And in order to open the model, this dot model dot, well, not exactly in this way, because the trigger won't work in this particular manner here. Let me do one more thing. I'll just go to the HTML, but I think I cannot pass two ID. Let's try it. I'm not sure about it. If I just pass ID equals to open model, let's see whether it works or not. So I'll just go to the application here, click on this particular one, type something here also, add it up, slide it, click on the edit one, and there you go, nothing happens here. So that is a problem. Now in order to open up the model, we need to do something. Instead of using the trigger one, I should use is open here. So is open, and it will only open up if I have a value called open to be true, or I can have is open only. Fine, if it is true. So what am I going to do here is, in the first one, I'm simply going to have something on click of it. I'll set is open will be set to true. Now what is this is open? I need to define it at the top. So is open will be initially false. That's gonna be of type boolean. That is by default, but still if you want, you can simply pass it. Alright, once I do that, everything will be fine. And on dismiss, I need to have is open value to be false, okay, every time. So this is done. I think everything is good to go, except when you are clicking on this particular edit node one, then you need to set is open to be true. You can have a function also for this particular stuff, but I'm okay with this. Let's try it once again. I'll just add something and click on it, get to the sliding one, click on it, and you can see the value is showing up. That's great. That's what I need. And if I hit on the add button or the save button, it will save it up once again. So I don't need that actually. So in order to solve that problem, what am I going to do here is, in the service one, at first I'm going to have an ID of which will be an optional one in this particular manner. Well, I've just given it a string. That's going to be fine. And we'll check a value here if an ID is being passed in the update node one. Well, that's going to be coming up directly from the data here. So let's remove it, and we'll check here for the ID. If data .id, if it is available, then I'm going to work with the update node, or not exactly in this way. What am I doing? I should go to the TS file, and on the save function, I'll simply check here if model dot .id, if it is present, then await this dot note dot update node function will be called, where I'm simply going to pass this dot model dot id along with that form dot value. All right, don't worry, I'm just going to update that. Else this will be passed, means this function will be called the add one. And in the service one, again, I'm going to get back, we'll pass an ID here, which will be of type string. Fine. So I think this is proper, and I can simply remove it if not needed. That's pretty okay. So I'm happy with this particular stuff now. Both of them will work fine here. And in the delete one, you can simply work everything within the async await try catch in this way. Just log the value. If there is any error for the time being, you can have an alert also if you want to. Now simply call here this dot note dot delete node function, where you're simply going to pass the ID. So node.id. Okay, well, I need to go to the service. Actually, I removed this ID from the interface, which I actually need. Now there won't be any problem, I think. What's wrong here? Let's check it out. If this is coming up, then simply pass a not symbol here. That means this value will not be null. Okay, you can remove this question mark also, because this value has to be there. Then only it's going to work. Still, the question mark is not giving you any problem, so you can have that. Fine. Now this is okay. Once that is done, everything is good to go. So this is the only function you're going to call when you're clicking on the delete button. Now we need to work with the service one. I think all the functionality for the CRUD operation is done here. Basic CRUD operation. We still need to work with the database one. For the timing, everything is working as expected. So now in the update node functionality, let's do it in this particular way. I'm just going to have the current nodes from the nodes value observable. Then I will find the index of that particular ID. All right. And on that particular index, I will update the data in this particular way, where I'll have the ID and the data that's going to be updated by using the spread operator. I have just passed it to make a copy of it. That's the only thing. And finally, pass everything what is present within the current nodes into the observable once again using the next function, and it will update it in the front end. That means here, whatever value we have. Let's check it out. So if I just click on it, type anything here also, click on it, it is done. Now if I hit on edit, if I just pass 1 and 2 here, if I click on it, it is getting updated, but actually it is created here. So I need to remove the earlier stuff. Well, actually this is getting added because I'm not passing ID when I'm adding the stuff here. Okay, that is why the problem is coming up. So when we are adding it into our service one, we need to add the ID also, which I'm not doing so. So in order to have an ID here, what am I going to do? Let me have current nodes dot length plus 1. All right, and I'm going to pass everything dot to string function, but this won't be passed here. Actually it needs to be passed here within the ID one. That's how it's going to be. Now you will see there won't be any problem, it won't get added. Let's try it once again. Let's try it. If I just go for edit and type 1 2 here, let's see, you see this is getting updated now. So it is working nicely. So our updation is also working as expected. Now it's time to check the delete one. Well, delete one is also pretty simple. We just need to get everything from here in this particular manner. All right, instead of find index filter, I'm going to use filter the value where ID not equals to the ID that is getting passed here. So I'll get all the value without that particular one whose ID is being passed. Okay, and I'm going to pass the updated data within this particular observer once again. Let's check it out now. So let me click on it, add a data here. All right, let's go for it, scroll it, hit the delete button, and it's gone. So the delete functionality is also working for us. I think everything is good to go. Now it's time to integrate the Firebase Firestore functionality. Let's work with that. In order to do that, at first I need to run the command npm i-g firebase-tools or -tools. That's what you need to install if you don't have it in order to use the Firebase commands. Now after this is done, the next command you need to run is Firebase login. Okay, if you hit that, you need to check whether you're logged in with any account or not. If you're logged in, then you need to run Firebase init. But if you want to change the login one, once you want to log in with a different account, then simply go for Firebase logout and then log in with the account you want. Okay, for that you need to open up the Chrome browser of that particular account. That's how it's going to work. Now Firebase init, this is going to set up everything. So Firestore will be set up, but I need to create it at first. I think I don't have a project. So let me get here to the Firebase and I'll go to the console, add a new project here, which I'll name it as Notes app, and hit on continue, select an account, continue, and this will be created in some moment. All right, the project is ready. Let me hit on continue. So this is created. Now I'll not go for login or any other stuff, the authentication part, because I have already shown many times how to work with the authentication part for the email and password one. This time I'm just going to go for the Firestore DB. This is the one which I need to just create as soon as it opens up. Well, there you go. You simply click on create database Well, if which production mode you want, let's go for start one. You can change it later on. So I'll just enable it. You can change the firestore location also. I'm just going to go for the same one for the time being. You can choose your nearby firestore location if it is present. The closest one you can select. Alright, this is ready now. What am I going to do? If you just want to work with it, not in the test mode, then you can simply go for rules and change everything here. Like the one I will do now is, I don't want a time constraint every time, because I'm not working with the authentication one. So if you're logged in or not, you just simply need to go for if true, you can read and write. So I will read and write irrespective of I'm logged in or not. That's what I'm just having here. Everything will be good to go now because it will work for all the documents here. All right, now I'll go back to the data one and we need to create a collection. Don't worry, I'll just do that through our coding. So let's get back to our functionality or the integration once again. I need the firestore here. Let me click here. Nothing else I need. So let's check it once again. I'll just hit enter and we are good to go. Choose an existing project or create a new project. You can try to create a new project from here also, but I have just created it and I'm going to select it up. So it is selected, the Notes app one. Alright, just hit enter. It will take the default values. Again, enter. That's it. So after doing that, I need to add the Angular Fire package. So ng add Angular/Fire package. This is what I need to add. And in order to use the ng command, you need to install the Angular CLI, for which you can simply check here Angular CLI installation, which you are going to get here mostly. This is the command that you need to run in order to install the Angular CLI in your system globally. Okay, after that only you can work with this ng command. I already have that, so I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to go through that particular process now. Alright, so it is asking me to install this particular package, which have some problem. If you are not having the same package, you are having a upgraded package, maybe you won't face any problem here. Remember that. So now I am asked again to select all these things. I'll hit the space bar to remove this ng deploy. I'm just going to select the firestore one and move ahead with all the other things. I don't need anything else. And I'll select the account and need to select the project here. So this is done. Well, please select an app. Alright, I'll just create one. Let me call it Notes app. Alright, so it will create a web app also. I think that is needed maybe. Alright, so now you are getting an error here. What's the error says? That app.module.ts file does not exist. So this particular package is not going to set up the Firebase configuration in your environment files automatically in the standalone one. But if you're using ng module, it's going to do that automatically. So if it is not doing that, then you can still do it manually also. You need to go to main.ts file and in the imports, you will have to add certain stuff after this Ionic module one, which is going to be the firestore one. So provide firestore. This is how it's going to be. You can just check in the documentation of the @Angular/Fire package. You will get that. Alright. And for the imports, I'll import it from @Angular/Fire/Firestore. Let me just show you here if you're confused. @Angular/Fire. Okay. This is a package in which you will find how to work with this particular stuff. Alright. Everything is being given here. Simply check the documentation if you want to learn more about it. Let's get back to our application. Now before this particular stuff, I also need one more thing here. That's gonna be this Firebase app, the initializer one. Let's import everything in this particular way. We don't have the environment as of now, which we need to work with. So after doing this configuration, I'll move to the environment files one by one. This is the development one. This is the production one. And in order to understand what we need to pass here, I need to extend it, go to the Firebase application and where exactly you need to go. Project overview, scroll down or not exactly scroll down. You need to go to the web one because this is how the integration will show up. Give any name here, say Notes app, register app. Since you're working in the browser, that is why I'm doing so. That's completely fine. Don't worry. Just this is the configuration that I have. Alright, I can simply copy it. Or if you don't want from here, simply go to the console, go to the settings, project settings. I think you could have done it earlier also. Now, this is the configuration that is what you need to use. Alright, so I will simply copy that from the project settings and we can get back to our project. Simply pass it here in this particular way. Everything is good to go. remove it, and instead of equal sign you need to have a colon 1. That's it. Instead of Firebase config you can have the Firebase 1 also. That's the only thing you need to do. Now you're good to go. So you can have the same one for test and production mode if you want to, or you can have a different one also if you think that for test mode you need to have a different one and for production mode you need to have a different one. Completely up to you. So after doing that, our configuration is ready and we don't have any error in our main.ts file. So the integration part is done. Now it's time to implement it. We are going to get certain errors also, don't need to worry. This is the error that is coming up in our Ionic serve. So in order to fix that, I need to go to this particular location by hitting the command or control in Windows and hit the click button altogether. So comment this particular line. Once I do that, there will be another error in this particular one. Go to this once again using the same thing, comment this particular one, and after that you will get another error. You need to comment this particular line also. Once that is done, you won't face any more error and your app will still work pretty nicely. Alright, if you just click here, you just see everything is working, right? Let's get back to our HTML one. Not exactly, I need to go to the service one. So in the node service, we need to work around with this particular Firebase Firestore API. In order to work with the Firestore one in the constructor one, I need to inject it. This is how I need to inject it. This is going to be private and Firestore will be imported from @angular/fire/firestore. So the importing is done. Now we can use the functionality directly. Let's say for adding the node, what exactly we need, or for getting. Now in order to get our nodes, I'm going to use getDocs function, getDocs. You can see suggestion is coming up. So I'll import it and it is imported here, right? Now within this particular function, what it accepts a query and returns a promise. So we need to pass a query here. Let me just pass await. Okay, because this is going to return a promise. Don't worry about the error. We are going to solve that because we need to pass an argument here. For that, I'm going to use a data ref, which will be holding the value of the collection. So we need to get the collection here, right? From which collection we need the data. This .firestore is the Firestore one that we are calling directly from the inject constructor one. Alright, because it holds two values. One is the Firestore one and the other one is the path. So in this particular path, I need to pass the actual path, which is going to be, let's say, nodes, because this is our collection that I need to call. All right. And if you have any query, say like where query or something else, then you can simply go for like query, or you can simply pass it here also. If you want, you can pass data ref directly here. If you don't have any query at first, let me just tell you, you can see the error is gone. Now, if you, let's say, if you have any query, let's say let query equals to query that you can simply import from this particular package, and within that you can pass the data ref at first, or let me just break it down in this particular way. Data ref, I think their name I should change it here, query data, because the names should not be same here. And within this you can write the where clause if you want to. Alright, you need to import this where from @angular/fire/firestore, and here you can simply pass a condition, say like the first document field name, then the operator you need to pass, then finally the value. Say like I want to go for name, not a name actually, it will be title here, and let's say equals to, let me have the value to be ASG, anything. Alright, so it's going to go for that. And if you want another where clause or any other thing, limit, anything, you can simply pass it here. Alright. For the timing, I don't need this particular query here, so I will simply remove it and pass the data ref. One more thing I just forgot. If you're doing it in this particular manner, then in getDocs, you need to pass this query data, alright, instead of the data ref, because data ref is already passed here. That's why. Let me remove it and remove the unnecessary imports. Alright, now everything is good to go again. So this is how we are going to get our data, and this data we are going to hold within a constant, let's say query snapshot. That's a value that we are going to get using a promise. All right, and we need to work on with this particular query snapshot in order to get the actual data, and it's going to be something like this: await query snapshot .docs, which will have the actual doc.map function we need to use in order to have the ID also along with the data in this particular way. And doc.data function will give you the actual data of that particular item or document, and finally return the item or the document, the final document one by one. So the ID will be appended there and you will have the proper data. And this particular data I'm going to have within a constant called notes. That's gonna be of type note array. Okay, once that is done, I can simply return, not return exactly, I will have this dot underscore notes dot next and simply pass notes here. Fine. At last, return notes. That's it. So doing so will give you the actual data that you are looking for that particular collection, that is notes in our case. So at present we don't have anything. If I just refresh it, you won't see any data. And if you just want to console the value of this particular one, then you can do that. Let me just do it. Notes and the value of notes that I'm going to just see here. Let's check it in the console log. So you can see this is an empty array. That's what we are getting as of now, which is great because we don't have any data as of now. Now let's work with the addition of a document. Now for adding a document, again, we need this data ref here. Let me copy it and I'm going to paste it here. Along with that, let me make it a constant because we are not using it anywhere else. In fact, here also. All right. Now after that, we need a function, await add doc function, which I need to import here from at angular/fire/firestore, import it, where I'm going to pass this data ref. There should not be any query here. So data ref and the data finally I need to pass, which I'll be getting it from here, right? And this add doc will add the ID automatically. So you don't need to worry about the ID here, but it won't add in the document. So I'm just going to show you when I add it up. All right, you will understand it better. Now after this is done, I'll create a constant here called response that I'm going to get for this particular one, which will be of type promise and document reference. Within that, the note, which is of type note. So doing so, actually I need to find the ID within that. Okay, and in order to do that, what I have to do? Well, let me create a constant called ID, which will be equals to await response dot ID. That is going to give me the actual ID, which is of type string. Fine. So this is how I'll be getting the ID. And if you want to see the value that will be coming up out of this response, you can simply check that in this particular way by logging it up. Now we have the ID here. So this particular ID, I'm going to pass it here. Instead of passing this randomly generated or just the addition one, I'll pass the ID directly. Or if you don't want to pass it, simply this one is fine. Okay, I have removed the bracket. Now it is okay. Great. So ID is being passed. We have the notes value and everything is good to go, right? Now the addition is also ready. Let's try it up. If I hit the plus button now, add a title, let's say test tomorrow or video upload. Make sure that video is uploaded tomorrow on time. Okay. So that's any description and title I have given. Let me hit on the save button and it is saved. So it's taking a little bit of time. You can have a loader also if you want to. So this is showing up here. That's in fact great. If you refresh it, still it is showing up. That means it is saved. Now let's check it out how it looks like here. Let me enlarge it. So this is the collection that I have. This is the ID, which is automatically generated for this particular document. So document reference is this particular ID within which we have the title and description present here. So that is how it is working. It is saved pretty nicely. Similarly, we can go for other stuff also if you want to, right? So adding is working and fetching is also working for us. What is left? The only thing that is left is the editing one. So for editing, if I click on it, this is showing up, right? Now in this particular case, I don't need the data from the database because we already have it here. If you still want to, then you can call the get by ID functionality also, which I don't think in this particular case we need that. Still, if you need, let me know in the comment section. Now let's go for the editing one or updating one. So in the updating one, what exactly we need to do? Let me just show you. So in updating one also, we need the reference of a particular data, but not a collection because we are not adding in a collection. We are fetching a particular document and working on that. So let me just copy it for the time being and I'm going to paste it here, but it's going to be a little different. Instead of a collection, I need a document. All right. So in order to update a document, we need to fetch this particular document, which is already imported. I've shown you just now. Everything will be same, except with the notes, I also need to pass the ID, and we can do that all together by using a plus button, or there is another way of passing a dynamic data using this particular quotes where you can pass a dollar symbol, braces, and within that the ID. So that is how you are calling a particular document, because this is a doc function, right? Which accepts the firestore and the path to that particular document. Now in this particular one, we don't need get docs or add docs. We need to call update doc function. This is the one. Import it. Now within this particular one, we need the reference along with the data. So comma, I need to pass the data also. That needs to be updated. So I hope you are getting it, what exactly we are doing it here. Now once that is done, we don't need to get the value of it, alright, because this is going to update the stuff and rest of the things will remain the same, except we can return the data also, like ID comma spread operator data, alright, or you can directly write data also if you want to. That is what I'm going to return at the very end. That is what I'm adding it here. You can have it in a variable also if you want to. Let me have it in a variable, that would be better. Constant latest data. Okay, in this particular way, let's pass it here and here to latest data. Okay, great. Now let's try this up, whether it works or not. So I'll just slide it, hit on the edit button, video upload, let's say done. Okay, let's see whether it gets updated or not. I'll hit this particular button and it is showing up here. If you even refresh it, it will show up the same stuff. You can edit it once again. I'll remove the done and hit this button. You are good to go. So this is how it is working, right? Even our update one is working fine. The last one is the delete one that we need to work with. So for the delete one, we have to do the same stuff that we have done for the update one. Let me copy this because we need to work with the document here. Let's copy and paste. We don't need any data and this won't be update doc. Instead, it will be delete doc. Delete doc. This is what I need to call. Let me click on it to import it. This is imported, right? So once that is done, we don't need to do anything else and we are good to go. Let's try that. If I slide it and hit on the delete one, it will delete up automatically. Let's see. Yes, it's gone. If you refresh it, it's not there. If you check it here, nothing is available here. So this is what we have done. We have completed our CRUD operation pretty nicely. And if you want to fetch by ID, then also you can do that also. And in order to do that, let me just show you what exactly we need to do. Let me copy this get notes and paste it here once again. Get note by ID. Alright, within this, I need to have the doc here instead of the collection, in which I need to pass the ID also, which I'll get it from here. ID of type string. Fine. So I need to pass it in this particular way. Let me copy and paste it here. Okay, once that is done, I need to use get doc, not get docs. So that is the change which I need to make. Import it. Once that is done, you don't need to go for all these things. You can simply remove it. Even this whole stuff you don't need. Instead of that, you can simply call doc snap, which will be actually this particular constant that I'm going to create here instead of the query snapshot. If it exists, then I'm simply going to return this particular data. Else, I'll throw an error. That's what I'm going to do. Hope it's clear. So if you still want to use it, let me just show you. I'll go to homepage TS file where I'm going for editing one. And instead of passing this in the model directly, what I'll do here is, let me do everything within the try catch block. Try. Okay. So in this particular way, our try catch block is ready. Let me just cut this and simply paste it here. Okay. Within this, I'll use await. For that, I need to use a sync here. Await this dot note dot get note by ID, where I'm simply going to pass the ID, which will be note question mark dot ID, and a not symbol needs to be passed, which will define that this is not empty. Okay, so I will get the value here. Constant data will be equals to that I'll be getting, and this particular data I need to pass it here. Instead of the note, I'll simply pass the data here. Well, there is some issue of type note. What's wrong? All right, let me go to the service here as note. Now I think there won't be any error because I have turned it into a note interface, because this kind of data it's going to return. That's what I've done. Now I think there won't be any problem. Great. Now when we can check the value of this particular log data in this particular way, I think it will be fine. Let's try this. Okay. So I need to create one at first because I have deleted it. Let's have the same one only. Video upload. Make sure. All right. This will be my description. Save it and it's done. Now this time I'll click on edit. Let's see what happens. I'll just open the console log, clear everything. Let's see if I hit on edit. You can see in the data we have the title, description. These two things are coming up, not the ID. So for the ID, we need to do something else also if we want the ID too. But in the model, if you pass this, still it's fine because the ID, we just need to pass it here, which we have already done from that particular value that we are getting it in the argument in the edit note 1. Okay, that's how you can get the data. And if you want the ID also, you can simply work here. Instead of returning this particular data, what you can do is you can do the same stuff that you have done it here. This particular stuff you need to do. Let me just show you. Let's hit enter, paste it, comment it. This doc snap, you need it here in this way and here too. Alright, finally it's going to return the item. Let me just do it in this particular way because I'm going to return of type as note. Okay, that's gonna be fine. And this one I'll just move it at the top. Great. I think this time I'm going to get the ID also. Let's try it. I'll just slide it, open this particular one, clear it up, hit the edit button, and you see this time I'm getting the ID also along with it. So this is how you can work around to get the proper data as per your requirement. So I've shown you all the steps to work with this particular functionality, that is the CRUD operations in Firebase. And if you don't want these queries, simply comment this tree stuff and have it here, this dot model, that's gonna be equal to, instead of data, you need to pass note as earlier. Alright, if you want this, have this up, everything will be fine. And you don't need the try catch block for these two things to be done. Still, if you're passing it, there won't be any problem. Alright, so I think we have covered up everything. Now the styling part, well, I won't look into the depth of it because it is fine. You can have a loader if you want to. That's gonna look great. For the timing, I'll leave it as it is. And I hope you like this particular video.
So this is it for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed this particular video. If you haven't shared this video, make sure you share it with your friends. After subscribing it, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe it first. And hit the like button if you like this particular video. So with this, I'm going to wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.